Alright ladies and gents, after a lot of hype, it's finally here, the new Stellar 3.0, one of the latest thermal releases from Hikmicro. It has a lightweight, sleek, ergonomic design featuring Hikmicro's next generation 15 millikelvin sensor, boasting a larger screen for improved viewing and, among many other awesome features, a new integrated rangefinder. Stick around to find out if it's all it's cracked up to be. We take a deep dive into the image quality, giving you a great example of what the Stellar 3.0 has to offer. We show you how to operate it, we run you through the menu system, cover how to zero it, and show you what the mobile app's all about. Let's get into it. Alright, before we dive into the image quality, we're going to do a very quick overview of the device itself and really take in the elegance of this new design and form factor. The biggest innovation is we now have the LRF built into the lens and it doesn't affect the operation at all. Another big improvement, I think, is the weight. This device is extremely light. Continuing on, we have the controls up the front here. We have our scroll wheel for zooming and menu navigation and additional battery storage here. But anyway, let's dive deep into the image quality now and get a look at what you really want to see. Alright, let's take a look at the image quality on the Hikmicro Stellar SQ50L version 3. Okay, this model has the LRF built in. We've got a 640 pixel sensor with a 15 millikelvin rating. And as you'll see here, we're doing our initial image quality comparisons to show you what animals look like at different distances. So I have my dogs here ranging from 10 meters to 30 meters to 50 meters, 100, 200 and 300 meter distances to give you a broad range of what the image quality is like and the field of view at different distances. On the left hand side we have Zoom Pro turned off, and on the right hand side we have Zoom Pro turned on. Towards the top of the screen we have our distance showing, which will tell you what distances each recording was done at. Further down the bottom we have our temperature and humidity. Another big factor in thermals is the conditions at which the recordings are done. Generally speaking, lower the millikelvin, the more sensitive the sensor and the better the image quality is in difficult conditions. So that is high temperature, high humidity, etc. When there's moisture in the air, it causes issues, and the more sensitive the sensor is, the better overall the image should be. One thing I've been very impressed with on the new Hikmicro devices is how good the image quality is under zoom. So typically the image would get extremely bad under zoom to the point that you couldn't make the animal out at all. But as you can see, even at 200 to 300 meters, we can still make out that this is a dog. We can see the gaps between their legs, particularly on base mag, very clear. And then we start zooming in and we can still see the shape of the animal, its head, body, leg movements, and so on and so forth. That is very impressive for the distances we are looking at. Another thing to note, these are very small dogs, so they're only 20 to 25 kilo dogs. They're not monstrous, so we are looking at relatively small animals. Now we're going to finish up looking at our dogs here and move on and take a look at some kangaroos. Now it is early days, so I've just got together what footage I could get really quickly. We will start seeing a lot more footage very soon. But while we play through this footage, take note of the distances and take in the quality. I'm going to talk about Hikmicro in general as a company and how we have found their warranty and the quality of their products. Now for us, when we decide whether we're going to sell a brand of thermal in particular, we have some key points that we find very important. That is warranty and quality of the product. Now if I'm selling you a $6,000 device and something goes wrong and it needs repair or it needs warranty, I need to make sure that that customer is well looked after and gets their product either repaired or replaced in a timely fashion. Now at Bristle Up, we do have our own policies in place to help customers. So during warranty periods, we can supply you with a loan unit of similar specifications if you require it for an upcoming hunt or for work. If there's major faults right out of the box, we can replace it with a new unit as quick as possible. And if there are major faults in general and repair time is going to be extended, we can also potentially offer you with a brand new unit, or at the very least a loan unit of similar specifications. You can find more information on our policies on the website. Another service that we offer is you can hire out thermal equipment for your next hunt, or if you're looking to buy a model and you're not sure if it's right for you, we do have some units for hire. So check out our website, go to the hire section and see if you find what you're looking for. If the model you're interested in isn't listed, give us a call and we'll see what we can do. We strive to offer the best support for our customers because we understand that thermal devices are a significant investment, and if you rely on your device for work, we know that every night you go without it can impact your livelihood. So rest assured, we've got your back. Alright, now back to talking about Hikmicro as a company. They have a repair centre in Australia. They do have a replacement policy as well for major faults. And not only are we able to get warranty issues resolved, but even if it's a non-warrantable issue, like you accidentally break it, you drop it, smash it to bits, there's still potential that they can repair it for you. As a result, we focus on only stocking and working with companies that have a really good warranty and repair policy in Australia, as well as companies that are highly established and make their own parts. Hikmicro makes most of their parts in-house, and in particular the major ones like the thermal cores and sensors are all made by Hikmicro. There's a lot of other smaller brands coming out that get their parts from some of the bigger manufacturers, and there's always potential that issues might occur in the future for establishing brands where they might just disappear altogether. I really don't see that happening with Hikmicro, and they have tens of thousands of employees. So I really don't think they're going anywhere. Just something to think about when you make your next purchase. Make sure you buy a reputable brand, preferably that have a repair centre in Australia and also have the backing to remain strong in the marketplace for many years to come. After all, it's a lot of money to spend, and in 3 years' time to 5 years' time, are you going to be able to get the service you need? Alright, I thought I'd do a quick video on our guys here that are doing our testing for us with the thermals. We got Bobo, happy little boy. We got this little fella here, and old Buzzy boy, eh? Good work, lads. We strive to do reviews on as many models as we can from brands like Hikmicro, Pulsar, Infiray, and more. We stock all the major brands and aim to offer the best unbiased advice we possibly can. We get to use all the latest gear, so we feel we are well placed to help you decide what device is best suited for your needs. So give us a call, jump on the website, or drop into our store. Let's take a very quick look at what's in the box. So here's our box. We've pulled out our carry case. Here's our scope. And then inside the box, we can have a look at what we get in the zipper here. You get 2 spare batteries, a battery charger, a USB-C cable, so you'll be able to charge this in your vehicle from your cigarette lighter. We have a shoulder strap and what appears to be a cleaning cloth of some description. But just to be clear, these rings are not included, but hit us up, you never know, you might get yourself a nice package deal. Included in the box as well is obviously the manual. Alright, I almost forgot to show you that you actually do get a scope cover inside the package. Now this can go over the scope pretty comfortably and help you protect it. Okay, and that's it. Let's move on. Now today we are reviewing the SQ50L version 3, but there are 6 models in total to be released. You can see the specs for all of these over on our website. There is a model to suit everyone's needs and different budgets as well. We will be doing reviews on all the models at a later date, But if you're unsure which model would be best suited for your needs and the country you hunt, feel free to give us a call. Alright, let's take a more comprehensive look at the device itself and its features. So once again, we have the LRF built into the lens. It goes up to 1,000 meters and accurate within 1 meter. We're moving to 15 millikelvin sensors now, which is absolutely amazing, more sensitive than ever. Once again, I can't get over just how light this device is, and the form factor is really good. Alright, Hikmicro have introduced seamless viewing with shutterless image processing, so no more calibrations occurring and freezing your image while you're preparing for a shot. Now you can still do a manual calibration by holding in your rangefinder button. Alright, let's rattle off a few other features. So we have recoil activated recordings up to 15 seconds. We can view the recordings and play them on the device through the album. Now it does have audio recordings, but they are not very good. We'll cover that later. Now I did test the startup time on this device, and it takes about 7 seconds for it to be fully turned on and ready to use, and sometimes even quicker than that. With the release of their new products, Hikmicro has introduced some new ballistics calculation features, including being able to change the colors and the style of the reticle on your suggested point of aim. They've also made improvements on the data that you can input for the ballistics calculation. Another awesome improvement is that they've now introduced a 1-inch display inside the device with a nice widescreen viewing experience. Alright, now let's look at how the device operates. So at the front here we have our focus ring for focusing your image. In the center here we have our zoom dial and our menu access. This also allows you to navigate the menu system. Now, as with older models, you can also add an additional 18650 battery in the side here to increase runtime, which is awesome. And another key point is these internal batteries inside this scope are replaceable even when your warranty runs out. So there's going to be a fee to have them replaced, which is pretty reasonable from what I've got estimates on so far. But you will be able to get these batteries replaced even when the warranty runs out. After all, the battery is the weakest point of the device and is the most likely thing to fail, so it's good that they're offering that service. Now moving on, we have our buttons at the front here closest to your eye. Now we have our picture and video button here, so single press to take a picture, long press to start a recording, and long press to stop the recording. Alright, to start a range find, you just press to activate the rangefinder and then single press to start ranging. Now there's multiple, you can have continuous or once ranging, which you can set inside the menu system. Now double press will deactivate the rangefinder function, and then single press will bring it back on. Now if you need to do a manual calibration, you hold down the laser rangefinder button and it'll do that calibration for you. But you should never really have to do this now that they've introduced the shutterless technology. Power button, long press to turn on, long press to turn off, and single press to put it in standby mode. Now our multi-purpose scroll wheel in the center here. Now we can use the scroll wheel to just zoom in and out when we're not inside the menu system. A single press will change your color palette, and if you keep pressing it, it'll just keep going through the different palettes. If you hold in the center button here, it'll open up the menu system on the side, and then you can use the scroll wheel to navigate the menu, and a long press to go backwards out of a menu or to return back to the main screen. Then at the front here we have adjustment for your eyes and obviously the detachable eye cup here. So this can be removed, it unscrews, and that about covers the button and operation of this device. I also wanted to show you the lens cap. Now it's magnetic, goes back to this little magnetic switch here, so it does hold pretty firm and it is pretty easy to open as well. It seems very good quality, it's very solid and sturdy. Now even though it is easy to open versus the latch version where when you flick the latch it pops open, it does seem to not be as easily triggered, which is good. So when you place it down, it doesn't seem to open on its own as often. Now, before we move on, I want to talk about some negatives that I found with this device. Okay, so the first one is the microphone is not very good. Hopefully they will maybe fix that later on. But yeah, the recordings on the microphone certainly need some work. Alright, just doing a quick microphone test. Okay, I'm just talking normally at the moment. Now I'm whispering. I'm just having a bit of a whisper here. And we're going to move on to a nice loud talking. Alright, this is me talking very loudly, giving you an idea of the microphone quality when I am looking through it. Now, the only other thing which hasn't been a problem for me, it doesn't bother me, has been the eye relief. So to be able to see the full round screen, you need to have your eye up against the cup like this, okay? And then you can see the whole screen. Now, that doesn't mean you can't sit further back and still be able to see the screen to be able to use it. But if you want to navigate menus properly and see the icons on the side of the screen, you will need to have your eye up against the cup. Now, there is talk that they're going to be able to improve this with firmware updates in the future and bring those icons into view a lot better so you don't have to be up against the cup. But honestly, I think this is a very minor point at this stage. But I also like to talk about the negatives with the products that we review. But other than that, honestly, I haven't been able to find anything else that I'm not happy with. I have been using it flat out. I found it very comfortable to use. It's nice, compact, ergonomic, and lightweight. But time will tell. Obviously, it's only just been released, so we've only had a little bit of time with it. So we'll see how it goes over the long term. Alright, now I'm going to quickly run you through the menu options. So we press and hold our palette button to bring the menu up. Now in the first section here we have brightness, contrast, picture-in-picture. So you can actually bring up your picture-in-picture mode at the top there. Okay, and then we have Zoom Pro that will increase the image quality when you zoom. So it'll do an algorithm to try and make the image look better as you zoom in. And then we have advanced settings. So we're inside the advanced settings here now. And at the top we have our zeroing profiles, which I've gone through before. It just allows you to select your zeroing profile. And then we have our zeroing menu. We went through this with the zeroing guide. And then we have our ballistics calculation. Once again, I already went through this in the other part of the guide. I believe fixed reticle will keep the reticle wherever it is when you move it, where central reticle will move the reticle to the center when you start zooming in, or if it's able to do it on base mag, it'll do that. Okay, I just have it on fixed reticle. Now we have pre-record. Now this will record under recoil, so I've got 15 seconds, so when I take a shot, it's probably going to save 7 seconds either side of the recoil. And then we have our tone, which is you can have warm or cold. I've always used cold. And then we've got sharpness. Now sharpness I think is a little bit overdone. So I have mine on 1 or 2. 2 seems to be the sweet spot. But as you'll see, as you go up to 5, it turns into a cartoon pretty quick. And we've got our scene mode. So we've got recognition and jungle. I've always used recognition. Laser range finding. You can change this all the way up to continuous for 60 seconds. So when you press the range finding button, it will range for that amount of time. If you have ballistic calculation turned on, it'll only allow you to select once. And then moving on, we have our hotspot. If we turn this to hotspot, it'll turn our Wi-Fi connection on to our tablet. Now, this will drain battery, so you don't want to have this on unless you're using it. Basically, when it detects that the scope has been laid down, it'll turn off, or if it's on an excessive angle, the screen will go turn into standby mode. Now we have audio on and off. This is for the microphone within the scope. So if this is on, it'll record sound on your video recordings. The microphone is not very good, so I'm not sure how useful that will be for people. Moving on, we have on the next screen, we have our album, which will allow us to see all the recordings that we've done and play them all within the scope, okay, which is quite handy. Now remember, if you want to go back a menu, you press and hold your palette button. So we're going to go back now from the album, and we've got hot tracking. That will just put a crosshair on the hottest spot on the screen. So in this case, it's our heat patch. And then we're moving on, and we've got custom palettes. In here, you can actually turn on and off the palettes that you actually want to be shown in when you select your palette changing button. So in this case, I never use Fusion, so I'm going to turn that off. And then we've got OSD. Now, if we click into this, it's a little menu that allows you to display what shows on the screen. Then we have pitch scale. Now, this just shows a semicircle at the bottom with degrees showing the angle that the scope is on. And then we have brand logo. We can make the Hikmicro logo show or not on our recordings. And then we're going through to the next screen. We have USB flash drive. Now what this does is decide what the USB-C port does. So digital will have the video signal go out if you wanted to plug it into a monitor. And USB flash drive, if you plug it into a computer, it'll come up like a USB drive, and you can copy updates on it or copy the footage off it, and so on and so forth. All right, moving on, we have our calibration settings. We've got external and manual FFC. Now, I've never played with external, so I honestly don't know what that does. Then we have dead pixels. So what you can do with this is you can repair dead pixels. So if you've got one on your device, you can move your crosshair to it and then double tap the palette button to do a repair. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back now by holding in the palette button. Now we've got burn prevention. I do recommend having this on, particularly if you're doing any sort of shooting in daylight hours. Then we have language, date and time, and then we have our units. So if you want to change this back to yards or meters, you can do that here. And then we've got our auto power on and off. So if the scope hasn't been used in 15 minutes, for example, it'll turn off. This can save you a lot of battery power if you're doing a lot of time in between shots and you forget to turn it off by mistake. Now, every time you do a firmware update, after the update, it's always been recommended that you do a factory restore to clear out anything left over from the previous update. So that's worth knowing. Then we move on and we have version. Now inside here, it'll just tell you your firmware and serial number and all that jazz. All right, guys, that is the menu system done and dusted. Now, this is very difficult to record because we actually have to set up a camera to record it through the optic. So bear with us, we'll do the best we can. So once you've got it set up, you've got your target set up, press and hold the center of your scroll wheel to get the menu to come up, and then we go through to advanced settings. And then we will see on the next menu here, we have zeroing profile, zeroing and ballistics calculation. Okay, now we want to select our zeroing profile. Now you can have many different profiles, but we're going to go with profile A. Then we're going to go to zeroing. Right, so here you have multiple reticles within that zeroing profile. Now with these reticles you can have different zeroing, which might be helpful if you've got different types of ammunition or you are zeroing it in for different distances. Okay, so for our case we're going to pick 1. The distance for this profile is going to be 100 meters. And then we've got our reticle type. So this is actually what the reticle looks like. So we can flick through a few different ones here now. Okay, and we have 10 different reticles there. I'm going to go with this one for this case, and then we can change the color of it. We can have it black there, white, red, green. Okay, now then we move on and we've got our zoom level. When you take your shot, you can use your different zoom levels to get a better look at what you're looking at. So let's zoom in here, for example. Here's our target. Let's just say I want to go at 14 times. I will try and move this on target, but it's quite hard with the camera recording. But basically what you want to do is take your first shot at the intended target, and then you want to freeze frame it on where you're aiming. and then move your crosshair up to wherever the impact shot is. So let's do a demonstration here now. I'll see if I can get this on the center there without going off camera. Right, I've got it on target there now. So let's just say I've taken a shot. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and stick a hot spot on there so that we can simulate the impact. So we have our simulated shot there. Now what we want to do is bring our crosshair back onto where we were aiming when we took that shot. So I've got my reticle on where I was aiming, and then I'm going to freeze frame it. Okay, now it is frozen. The image is frozen, which means you don't need to hold it any longer. You can move away and make your adjustments. So what we can do is at the top here, we can zoom in for better clarity, which we don't need to in this case, or we can go down to our X and Y axis. All right, now, so we pretty much just want to go straight up. So we'll go down to our Y axis. Now, to go between these, you just single press on the menu button, okay? So if you roll your scroll wheel, it will make changes. And if you single press, it'll go to the next option. So what we want to do here now is we want to bring this up to our impact. Now this is severely exaggerated at this distance, but just giving you an idea. All right, so we've got it center of impact. We're going to press hold and press the menu button, hold and press the menu button or the palette button, and then click save. Now our crosshair has moved to the correct location, okay? So now what you would do is just move out to a further distance and now focus on getting it to group, making sure that it is zeroed as accurately as you would like. But essentially, that's how you zero it. You can have multiple profiles and you can have multiple sub reticles or profiles inside that profile. So that makes it quite good. But now let's take a look at the ballistics calculation. So we'll bring up the menu again, hold in the palette button, and then we're going to select advanced settings, and then we'll go down to ballistics calculation. Okay, now in here you can turn this on and off. If it's active, it will show your suggested point of aim on the screen. Right, so we've got our ballistics profile, point of aim style. This allows us to change what our point of aim, suggested point of aim reticle will look like. So this is what will appear when you range find, and it gives you an estimate on where the impact will be. We can change our point of aim color, and then we can change the type of ballistics calculation. Okay, our initial velocity, our altitude, and our temperature, our ballistics coefficient, our sight height, and that's pretty much it that you can do through directly within the scope. Now, to get this ballistic information, you can usually get it online. There is apps for it as well, and you can go out in the field and do your own measurements as well. Sometimes it's on the back of the box. They're not always accurate, so the key is to get the right information. So some of the guys online and the apps will have probably a more accurate measurement. If you're serious about it, you probably want to do your own velocity measurements. But for the most part, you can usually find enough data to get you started and get it pretty good, but you might have to fine tune it. All right, so once you've put your ballistics information in from here, it's as simple as doing a range find. So we're 11 meters here now, and we zoom in, and you can see that it's suggesting that that green cross there will be where the bullet will go at this distance. Okay, so that's how that operates. Now, once again, I do apologize. This is very hard to set up, very hard to record, so we've just done it as close as we can for visual purposes, but this is not a realistic demonstration. A lot of people are having quite good success with the ballistics calculation in Hikmicro products. I've seen some pretty incredible shots on foxes, you know, out to 400 or 500 meters using this technology. So, you know, it might be worth getting into the know on the subject. All right, so now we're going to connect this device up to your tablet. And to do that, what we need to do is download the Hikmicro site on your phone. And then we go into the menu system and we navigate through to advanced settings, and we make sure hotspot is turned on. and you'll see the password there. And then we go back to our mobile device, go to Wi-Fi connections, and then we go to select Hikmicro. Okay, now it's going to ask for the password, and we'll enter that. Once you've entered the password, it'll come up and say no internet connection with a tick. That's perfectly normal. If you are on a device that has a SIM card in it, you will need to turn mobile data off. Now you can turn mobile data off for the entire device or just for the app. In this case, I'm just going to turn mobile data off altogether. And then we go to our Hikmicro site app. Now you'll see that once we open up the Hikmicro site app, after connecting to the Wi-Fi, we have the Stella there, and we can click Live View. And then from in here, we can actually see what the scope sees. We can do a laser range find, we can do a manual calibration, we can change color palettes, okay, and we can zoom in and out, and we can change the contrast and brightness. We can also do a video recording, so if we tap the little symbol at the top and switch it over to camera, we can then do a recording that will save to your phone or tablet. Up in the top right hand corner, you'll see a cog icon. If you hit that, it'll bring up some basic settings, and for example, if we wanted audio, we could do that. And if we turn audio on, it'll actually play the audio that the scope is hearing back through to the phone. So you may or may not want that. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple and straightforward. Another thing to point out, once you're in the Hikmicro app, if you go into product info, you'll find your device information, and you can also do firmware upgrades from here. Now, what you will have to do, I'll basically run you through how you do it through the phone, but I do highly recommend doing it through computer, downloading the file, copying it onto the device, and turning the device on and off will run the update and make sure that it's done correctly. Now, when you do it through your phone, you will need to connect the device first, make sure it's added to your account, and then you'll come in and click device upgrade, and as you'll see here, it's requesting access to the internet. So what I'll have to do is enable mobile data again, go back, and it'll allow me now to check for updates. And as you can see, it says I've already on the latest version, but if there was a version available, it would then download that update, and then from there you would have to reconnect back to your thermal to then copy the update onto the thermal and allow the thermal to run it. It's a little bit dicky, but if you need help, we'll do another more in-depth video on this. We do have a video already available for this, but it's a couple of years old. It's still pretty much the same as it was back then.